Vibe with me, let's go. Keep your ears up and listen to me, let's go. Keep your head up, vibe with me, let's go. Keep your ears up,
Who's
listen
down
to me,
with
let's go. Keep your head
TTP? Who's down with TTP? You down with TTP? Who's down with TTP? Hey, real quick, here comes the breakdown.
Keep your ears up and listen to me.
Yo, what up, what up, what up? You already know what time it is, man. It's TTP, episode 2. There's no yes to stress. Alright? So, real quick, check your BIMs, buy some Tims. We about to get it ins. We're gonna let that joke die for a second. But you already know the person who stands before you is the MICCASTERJ. That's me, the Mike Caster. Alright? And again, welcome to another episode of TTP where we talk everything mental triggers. Alright? And last week was the first episode where we talked about the plus, so you guys can understand how all these different triggers and stuff can all always correlate and attain back to the plus. So that part was purpose. As there's a key nature to that. I might close that curtain, depending on how much that light gets on my nerves while I'm doing this video. You guys already know I don't edit, so if I gotta do stuff in the midst of the video, I'm gonna do it in the midst of the video. Keep it 100 over here, man. I don't need to do all this extra over professional stuff. I don't care, man, because the initial topic is what we're talking about, not all this other stuff. That's all. Ain't a big deal. But yeah. So so remember that first episode. Hold on to that plus, because everything we talk about from here on out, it's gonna all still correlate and go back to that plus. All right. So this is the first episode of us initially talking about a trigger, and of course, I would be remiss if I didn't start this episode off. These type of episodes off with the trigger. You already know what I'm talking about. You probably know where I'm going to as soon as I introduce it. The trigger, the mental killer, the health problem giver, the over-encompassing thing that looms over your life like a shadow all day long. And it can be in the most simple things, or it can be in the most overcomplicated situations ever. You already know the one that I'm talking about. Stress. As I said in the title. But just in case you missed that, we talking about stress. Because I think before we get into anything else, we got to get into the one that can literally position itself into other portions of these triggers. All right, so we're gonna go over stress, and I've decided that that's gonna get on my nerves, so give me 1 second. Yeah. All right, no. Being a damn goof. So yeah, we're gonna jump into it. All right, man. So you already know. The way we start this off is we're gonna first initially, talk about the trigger itself for just a split second, and then start diving off into other parts and really break it down. All right. So first off, we got our slides here and everything like that, and these are the same slides that's gonna be in the video. I like to keep stuff organized so we can stay on topic, man. So first off, we got the overall definition of stress, all right, which is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. All right. So just now, you kind of give that a thought process, man. A state of mental or emotional strain, which is initially what these conversations are designed to focus around. So this thing literally leaps into both. So it's like, forget just attacking you on one end. I'm attacking you on both fronts. All right. And then even it adds tension, which means it can do stuff physically to the body. All right. So as you are feeling this, as you're encompassing stress, it can not only affect you here, can not only affect you, outwardly emotional, but it can also affect you internally. Like it's devoted to killing you and breaking you apart from different aspects of yourself. And that's something to really take in, because a lot of people like trying to gloss over stress. Oh yeah, I'm just stressed right now, but it'll go away. No, man, it's this thing could seep itself into really different points to where you can have it spread so thoroughly throughout yourself as a person that it can really kill you before you even get a grasp on how to actually check it. So that's important to understand, man. And then, of course, it talks about adverse or very demanding circumstances. So things that are opposing you, things that are, things that are causing your attention, calling your attention to stuff, that needs your immediate focus, that you just don't, usually don't have that time to give, or you don't want to specifically provide. All right. So it's the definition. I like starting off with the definition just because, sometimes we can have our own concepts of these things that we build, and it's important to understand initially, know what exactly is it. All right. So from there, I like to turn around and jump into the overall ways that it likes to turn around and enter. Now, before we get into that, I actually found this one article that was pretty cool because it went to different points of how it can actually overall get into into your life, and I think that in itself is pretty interesting. So you got ways that it can physically turn around and enter, man. So like stress hormones, where adrenaline effects such as like heart beating faster, muscle tighteners, breath fastening, blood pressure, your senses kind of sharpening out. So you got the physical aspects, but you also have the types. So stress can actually kind of do levels to it. So you got your stuff like you got acute, you got chronic. So there's three types that we're going to go over. There's probably more than that, but I think there's three types because it mainly solidifies just the general senses of where everybody's at as far as points of where stress enters their life. So let me bring this down a second, and we can turn around and really break into that. So we'll start with the most common one, the one that everybody really knows, which is acute stress. All right. So, as I said, it's the most common one. It can actually come in like short doses, um, and this kind of responds to like challenges or unexpected events. Like I guess death in the family. Right? We can use that. I know that's a really heavy place to go, but as I told you, these conversations are going to be real, right? So, like a death in the family, something that's like an initial shock, like it's just you received it, but now your mind is just like kind of like, who, what, huh, how, where, why, when. And the common symptoms that come with acute stress can be anything from emotional distress. It can be muscle tension. It could be headache, back pain, jaw ache, stomach upset, rapid heartbeat, or even raised blood pressure again, which is probably going to pop up a lot. Because, stress is all about heightening yourself. It's all about putting your mind into, for lack of a better term, a state of panic. You know, so whether that's it can be initially in a good thing, which the only way I could really see stress being a good thing is if you're in the actual immediate danger, or in most cases it's a bad thing. Because unless you just turn around and put yourself in a state of imminent danger every single day, you're probably experiencing the bad versions of stress. And that's just real. So acute stress is that first level. So it's just like initial shock, like it came to you, your body got it, and it just kind of heightened you a little bit. It's just kind of like a quick, just like reaction factor. You're just like, huh? So that's where you get that shock face. Huh? So that's acute stress. From there, we actually move down, and it talks about if acute stress actually becomes a constant occurrence, it starts happening more often, and these issues keep occurring, that raises to what's called episodic acute stress. Um, so now already, we started from one point of stress, and then we started to, when we don't check that, it starts growing and it manifests itself, or it turns into another initial level of stress. So now it just gets 2 times worse and it just stacks on itself. So that becomes episodic acute stress. Now, this one is, again, when people experience that acute stress periodically, like it just keeps happening. So if it does keep happening, this is the one where you start feeling under pressure. Things are always going wrong. This is the one where you start doubt. Doubt creeps in, or frustration sets in, or you automatically start planning for the worst in things before it initially has even the chance to remotely become a situation. You're already pre-planning for this to go wrong based off of the amount of times that you have dealt with this situation. You're in your mind, it's already like this is gonna be a whole thing. This is gonna be a problem. This is gonna be a situation. Like when you go to work and you got to deal with that coworker that you don't like, and every aspect of these encounters that you have with this coworker always resulted into something. So now it's become episodic stress. And because since we didn't check that initial point where it became stress, now it's become a thing to where your body already anticipates this to be a moment, all right, to be something that's going to cause you issues, or put you in a constant state of frustration, or create an uncomfortable situation. So already, see, simple stuff like that's simple stuff like that can easily bring stress into your life. And that's something simple as just a person at work, man. Like, which to somebody else might not seem simple, but in essence, if we're being really honest, it is simple, man. It's that easy. Like, just it's that easy for stress to turn around and enter yourself, and for you to create a repetitive state of stress without even ever meaning to. Just by simply not doing that initial check in the beginning. So, going into episodic acute stress, it can be exhausting. So that's that's stuff that it already talks about right there. So it can be exhausting, and it can be exhausting both physically and mentally. So this is where we start seeing the initial changes of stress. So it started here, and now this is where it starts gravitating to other portions of of yourself, of your inner self, your plus, the BIMs. All right, so it starts attacking different parts of your pillars. Again, for those that didn't watch the first video, BIMs is body, mind, spirit. It's just a shorter way to say that. But it starts going into other aspects of those pillars. All right, so now it's infecting you. So hear me out now. Now pay attention to this. It's infecting you now. Now it's becoming more of a disease. So with that being said, you start gaining irritability, unintended hostility, relationship problems, man. So this is where it starts outwardly projecting itself so much that it's you're now projecting what's internally here onto other people, to stuff that they don't may or may not have anything to do with, and it's creating a conflict because now you can't interact as well because this is always in a state. It's always in a constant state in your mind. It's always in your brain. It makes you create a lack of functioning now, because it's like, man, I have to deal with this again. All right. So, this thing goes on to say, it might lead to some lifestyle changes, which we'll get into later on. But yeah, this is where you should really, if you get to this point, this is where you should really start making lifestyle changes. You might have to reduce the demands on yourself. So certain tasks that you're often asked to keep doing over and over again, that keeps emitted that episodic acute stress. You might want to relieve those tasks. You might want to turn around and navigate to somebody else. You might want to take a step back. This is where we start kind of making those decisions. However, because we're going to be realistic, it's easier said than done. If you don't tend to do that, and these things do become a long-term situation, well then, guess what? Welcome to chronic stress, all right? So this is ongoing stress resulting from long term emotional pressures, obligations, you know, tasks, day to days, routines. All these can probably fall under chronic stress, because if we're so used to doing these, but the overall aspect of it is that, we're usually frustrated doing these particular things, or we're doing this constant stuff on a daily basis, and it's sometimes it's just too much. But we're not really kind of doing that. Again, that self check. Yeah, it comes chronic stress, man. So again, see, some of the stuff that it talks about is, stress for jobs, unhappy family situation, money problems. That could be something that's definitely chronic stress. It's probably one of the number one forms of chronic stress because, let's face it, especially with 2020 and 2021, dealing with this pandemic is led to a lot of financial issues. So a lot of people could be facing that particular form of chronic stress because every day is a financial situation. You don't get as much work as you used to. You can't really be in the office as much. You can't really get out the house. You're probably stuck now on the phone, for those my people who are like reps and stuff like that, who takes phone calls. You just you kind of in a state where you just kind of feel trapped and you feel like you have to be face to face with these constant forms of stress over and over and over and over and over again on a daily basis of your life. Um, so it causes your body to have that fight or flight responses too frequently to recover between episodes. So you're always thinking of, should I deal with this today? Should I not deal with this today? Should I deal with this today? Should I not deal with this today? That funny, relating to those funny things where they talk about, I don't feel like getting out of bed. That's a form of chronic stress, man, when you have to really make an actual thought process decision. Do I really want to turn around and deal with this as a thing right now? And that's rough. It's a hard thing to deal with on a constant basis because mind is not developed, the body is not developed, you're not developed for that particular instance. Not robots, all right? You need those moments to kind of take that step back. And if you're not getting that, yeah, chronic stress is the direction that you're going. Um, you know, and then it's left untreated. This thing says that it can actually cause heart diseases. So this is where we start getting to aspects of stress where it starts creating more terminal things for you. Like really starts degrading the body or decaying it. That's what chronic stress does. Its whole purpose now is to completely decay you, whether it's from the inside or show it outside. But its whole purpose is to take your BIMs and really destroy them, like have those things crumpling to the point where it's nothing. All right. And it even creates problems with immune systems, man. So you can literally turn around and get yourself to a point where you're so stressed you get sick easily. Which I'm pretty sure some of you have probably heard. And that's dangerous, man. That is crazy. And that is all from what started here and gradually built itself out to other aspects of your life and it affected your BIMs, man. So, one of the main things I'll definitely tell you is, using that plus, because again, I want to see back and forth through these things a little bit, not too much, but a little bit. Um, going towards that plus, you want to make sure you don't got stuff on there that's going to cause you stress. If it's causing you stress or it's developing to other forms of stress, you probably need to get rid of it, man. Not probably, you need to get rid of it. Even with those branches, remember that important part that I told you, where like these things can affect other aspects. Sometimes certain tasks or things that you have on those branches that you like doing might be the cause. Or you might not have stuff on those branches that could initially help with stress that you need to add, such as meditation, man. Which again, stuff we'll dive into later, but I'm just making it make sense to correlate into that plus, man. You might have to add tasks that can help initially with stress because you can also do that on those branches. You want to make sure the other stuff on your anchors are turning around and help are factors that initially help you get over those different stress factors, not add to them, but they're things that you can count on to turn around and get rid of that. Like your goals need to be stuff that kind of helps you see past all the nonsense, like the co-worker at work. Because you have a focus to get this promotion, she's a non-factor because your goal is so driven that she is completely out of the picture. So you might have to initially change those aspects. You're above alls, God, more prayer. You might need more prayer. You might start needing to give your problems up to God, on a much more constant basis than you already are probably doing, and really trust that he has that aspect and let that go. So this is where that plus comes. This is where we're turning around just doing that back and forth. But anyway, let's continue, man. So and again, it depends on personal situations. So changes what's causing chronic stress, because for everybody, the crazy thing about stress is stress can affect everybody different. It completely forms itself around the overall aspects of your life, which is crazy, yo. That's just it's really weird because we're talking about it like it's a person, but when you think about it, stress is really methodical, man. It's really, really methodical. So, and again, stuff that can turn around and bring it into there is, previous experiences and stuff that may have affected you. So, it's kind of, we're not going to indulge into all of these too much, but I do want you to hear these things again. So it could be common major life events, so like job issues, or retirement, lack of money, bereavement, death is a very heavy thing that can initially bring stress that you didn't initially maybe had in your life beforehand. It could have been a very close loved one, someone that was probably in your above all that you lost, and then boom, that's enough to turn around and start making your plus shake, your BIM start altering, family problems, it's a big one, illness, moving home, you know, relationships, marriage, divorce, those that definitely can turn around and be something that can initially lead to these different aspects of stress. Other common types, man, could be stuff that's not really as common or more rare in life. So, abortion or pregnancy loss. We've kind of been seeing how that's been going back and forth and how people have been feeling about their life choices and stuff. Driving in heavy traffic or fear of an accident. See what I'm saying? Like these simple things. You could have probably seen a really terrible accident last day where you literally seen the body on the floor, and that's enough to turn on and get your mind to start altering itself to kind of like, man, that could have been me, or this is why I hate traffic, or now I really don't want to be in traffic because I'm afraid that somebody's going to turn around and bump the end, and you might be one accident short of your insurance skyrocketing, and that's another financial issue that you have to deal with. Like this is how stress gets you. It takes little small, it could take something as small as that and then just pile it and compile it into different aspects. And before you realize it, because you probably might have overlooked it, most people complain about traffic and don't really think nothing about it. But that could be a really heavy trigger for you. That could be what already makes you go to the job being upset. That could be what's already making you go to the job and then even now focus on the other shit because you were already stressed to begin with. And now it's layering on different points. It's making you susceptible to other aspects that you could have easily ignored. Or wouldn't have been a big of an issue. See what I'm saying? Like stress knows how to get you and try to layer things. That's the point of it. It layers stuff. It's not even the initial impact of stress. It's the layering part that most people don't turn around to catch that really starts killing you. Because it just builds upon itself. But yeah. So fear of crime or problems with neighborhoods. You can be in a really bad area, man. Listen. I know the deal, man. Again, Brooklyn over here. It was definitely not like a safe environment growing up. My block where my family was may have been a safe environment, but going outside of that, nah, man. There was definitely constant times where I felt uncomfortable. I've seen people get jumped and attacked. Like like that can cause stress, man. Pregnancy, becoming a parent. Some people, parenting is new. Not everybody just gets it off the rip and goes, I was ready for this. Ha! Said no parent ever. Um, maybe a few. But again, exceptions don't encompass everybody else, okay? So, most times that can be something that creates stress. Excessive noise, man. Overcrowding, pollution for my introverted people, man. Or my people who are environmentally friendly. That can be, it's turn around and be a stress trigger. You can give yourself so much to this situation that it's all your mind focuses, and now other factors of your life start taking a downpour because this is what's prominently in your brain all the time. And then uncertainty, man. Like, waiting for an important outcome, man. Again, yeah, let's go to pregnancy. Maybe you wanted a boy. You really wanted a boy. You have all these goals and these focuses. You wanted a boy. Guess what? It's a girl. Stress. And that doesn't make you a bad person. It's just, again, and these are the things that you got to turn around and check, because we can give so much of ourselves to certain aspects of our life that it starts taking over. And that's important. Um, and not checking those things is how you can lead to other aspects of even more terminal type illnesses or stuff that could really affect you, like PTSD. You know what I'm saying? So that's just something to turn around and look out for. So from that point, we move from entering to how it can really affect you. So again, I'm just gonna read these out. We're not gonna factor into everything because we'd be here all day, but I just want you to understand. So again, physical aspects, again, sweating, pain, could be pain in the back, pain in the chest, which probably is a mostly indication that you're starting to obtain heart problems, because cardiovascular diseases have also been commonly cased too towards stress. So that's something important to also understand. Cramps or muscle spasms, fainting, headaches, nervous twitches, pins and needle sensation, that little weird uh, spine tingling thing where you're like, oh, something's coming after me. Um, you know, that stuff are effects that can turn around and happen. Um, and then they even found out emotional reactions like anger, burnout. You just get so completely just like, you ever seen like there's cartoons where the person just turned around and went so hard and got so upset about something they exploded, and they were just like, and they turned all black and sizzled into ashes. Yeah, burning yourself out. Yeah, concentration issues, fatigue, a feeling of insecurity, forgetfulness, irritability, nail biting, restlessness. Um, it can turn around and create bad habits that you didn't have. Drug and alcohol misuse, tobacco consumption, man, social withdrawal. This is because some people don't start off introverted, but can become introverted and become introverted for bad reasons, because they just can't deal with the overall pressures of society on a constant basis, or people, and those are triggers for them, and they just start becoming it. They start internalizing again. That North Star that you're supposed to be protecting starts now getting, because now you stop projecting out more and you want to turn around and be more sheltered. Stress can definitely play a factor into that. Frequent crying, relationship problems, man. Again, and then going back to chronic, if stress becomes chronic, this is where complications happens, man. Anxiety, depression, so other triggers you start developing. So not only is stress a trigger itself, but it's going to turn around and give you other triggers. So now you went from attacking and having a war on one front to now multiple fronts. Now you have other stuff entering the body, which are just as toxic. Um, Heart disease, high blood pressure, which again we talk about a lot, lower immunity against diseases, muscular ache, PTSD, sleeping difficulties, stomach upset, erectile dysfunction, man. It makes you not want to get it on, fellas, and then ladies also for you too. You might not get erectile dysfunction, but I can tell you one thing, definitely doesn't make you want to turn around and do something strange for a piece of change when, just kidding, but make you want to do anything when you're undergoing stress. So your sex drive starts. So no whoopee for you, but for real though, it's a killer, man. It got blood pressure, pulse rise, breathing speed ups, digestive system slowdowns, right? Immune activity decreases. Again, it's because it's gonna keep emphasizing on that. Muscle becomes more tense, sleepiness decreases. You got yourself staying awake more at night because it's just the bodies just it can't process, man. It's just it's killing you, basically, is what I really want you to turn around and get to. So it starts off with these little problems, and it just sporadically keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. um and then it just kind of goes on to talking about, uh it can come with something as simple as not feeling you have the resources to turn around and deal with, or it can be simple things that are supposed to be, even good things can turn around and create stress if you don't turn around and deal with it. in certain aspects. Like, again, having a baby, going on vacation can be stressful. Moving to a better home, promotion at works, because although these things are initially good, they bring on other aspects and other responsibilities and other points of your life that you may or may not have been used to turn around and dealing with. So always prepping for these things is definitely a way I would turn around and tell you to go, which we're going to get into in a second here. I just kind of turn around and get into stuff that causes you to have to give extra effort or adapt, are definitely things that can affect you a lot. And from there, and again, these are all going to be in the slides, so don't feel like I'm rushing or anything like that, but I don't want to turn around and over emphasize on these points. All right. And I also want you to turn around and look at it for yourself. So if I just sit here and just completely do a whole schooling thing where I'm just yeah, like I want to do the only research because I did all of it. So now let's get into the positive aspects, man. Ways to turn around and deal with it. So again, starting with the plus, man. Taking stuff that don't need to be there, that's not adding to your BIMs, or adding things that can turn around and successfully help your BIMs, especially those branches, man. What you put on there matters. So what you utilize for those branches as far as activity wise can also be a factor that also helps with stress, because again, it's supposed to lift your spirits. When your spirits aren't lifted, that starts to turn around and affecting other aspects of your life. And when we talk about spirits, it doesn't necessarily mean just spiritually in general. It can just be as simple as positivity and stuff. Like, give yourself things on your plus that you can give yourself things that you can gravitate to in times of turmoil or like that. So make sure your above alls are factors that can help you through that, and not factors that are turning around and creating those initial stressors. All right. And same thing, your goals need to be stuff that are so overpowering that even when the stresses come up, you can mentally kind of push through that. Like, you can gear through it, like it wills you forward. And it's not daunting tasks that themselves are unrealistic expectations, which adds to that stress, because we can turn around and usually create goals or purposes and stuff like that for ourselves that we're just not at the point of our lives, or not at that capability of fulfilling right now. All right. And that's an important thing to turn around and accept and understand, man. You got to accept those things that aren't playing factors in you, and you have to also accept that there's certain things and limitations that you have right now, and you can't do everything. All right. That's a maturity sense on your part that I would definitely turn around and recommend, and be real with yourself and open to about, man, because not every goal is a goal for you to turn around and obtain. All right. And for my spiritual people, you definitely turn around and know that, sometimes God will point you in another direction of where you thought was actually supposed to be your initial direction. And we never really like that answer. But, if we stop fighting it and to kind of really give it more of a thought process and gravitate more to that, we'll see why most cases. Probably usually be in the 5 seconds of why we thought that wasn't the way we were supposed to go. And then just by turning around, leading towards it and being like, I hear you, God, and going that direction, we start getting that, this is why. So, those are things that I would recommend plus wise. And again, recommend, because again, I can't tell you how to do your stuff. I know what I would do for my life, but for everybody, that aspect is different. But I would start with that plus, because again, it's supposed to be a self-check. It's a guiding thing. So I would look at those points first, and then start trying to create layers of things on that based upon, propensity of how much you need it in your life. Exercise. Definitely exercise. And when I say exercise, you don't gotta turn into a crazy fitness buff, man. Even if you turn around and walked every day. I seen this old guy who started off with a cane at the park, and he was walking every day and going up hills and stuff, man. He started off slow. Now, you can't tell this guy nothing. He walks, he's on his phone now. He wasn't doing half of this stuff. I'm talking, this guy was slow at first, man. I would completely pass him every day, and he was just still getting up that same hill. Now he's gone. It's just from walking. His mind seems better. He seems clear. He looks a whole lot better now. Like, so exercise is great. It's not even just kind of a weird thing. People need to get out of this concept of just because somebody tells you exercise, they're trying to say you fat. No, man. Especially because the definition of fat has different layers to it, man. You can be fat, and it doesn't necessarily mean you look completely obese is which is what everybody's really thinking about when they hear the word fat. Like your body's in an unhealthy state to where it can't compensate for the levels of BMI. I think it's BMI or something like that, but it can't encompass for all the different aspects or the weight or anything like that. It can't do that, and now it's creating health triggers. All right, that's obese. Okay, and even that, it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, being thick is a bad thing. No, being into a position where the body cannot turn around and uphold certain structures or hold certain immunities and stuff like that because of how obese you got is the issue. All right. So we need to, like, just simple stuff like that, like information. That's what I was going to turn around and say. Like, information is enough to turn around and help you pull away from certain triggers of stress. Just knowing more about something that you're stressing about can help you. Reducing alcohol, drugs, and caffeine. You already know who you are. But these things ain't helping you, bro. Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm saying turn around and get rid of it. Beers, throw away beers completely. Everything's bad. Oh, don't drink coffee. But too much of these things are definitely not helping. And as far as drugs, that's a no-brainer, yo. I'm gonna let you turn around and be an honest person about yourself about that. Because this is, again, it's not a judgmental factor, but there is accountability measures into this. So I'm gonna let you be honest with yourself about that. All right. Only you know what you're doing in the dark. Nutrition. All right. And I don't mean turn it around and you have to turn and become on this keto diet and all this other stuff and everything like that. And I'm not knocking people who do that, but sometimes just balanced nutrition can turn around to be a world different factor, man. Like adding some more fruits and vegetables to your regimen. You're not necessarily having to get rid of the chocolate cake that you like to eat, towards the end of the day, but, adding more levels of nutrition to yourself can also be great and can also help your immune system, man. Priority management, which is a big one. What you think needs to be done right now probably is not as heavy as the fact that it needs to be done right now. There's probably something else you should be doing. And then breaking that list down, creating that list. If you're not a good at a list person, just kind of like having at least a mental aspect in your mind of what you want to start with in a day can already help alleviate those stress factors. Time management, man, setting that a time for you to relax and pursue your own interests, which is where I'm at right now. Even with something like this is actually me living in what I'm telling you to do right now. So again, when I'm speaking to you in these videos, I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to myself. So I'm living that portion right now. I am making time to pursue other interests, to turn around and alleviate those stress factors, to turn around and help, me have better outlets, which is stuff that you can also add to your plus outlets. That's important. Breathing and relaxation, meditation. I'm not saying you got to turn into a guru, but, taking those moments to just stop, absorb in things, man. Absorb nature. Even for aspects that you wouldn't think somebody would tell you. Somebody died, cry. Be sad about it. Give yourself the time and the space to turn around and really just have a moment like, this person is not in my life anymore. That is not a bad thing, because it's better than internalizing it and trying to act like it didn't happen. All right. So even aspects like that, I'm taking it further. Like even aspects like that, I would turn around and tell to you can help with stress a lot, because stress is all about internalizing. It wants to see how much of these things it can make you keep trying to ignore and pass over and keep trying to push through and keep trying to will yourself past before you initially accept the fact that these are issues. Talking, big one. Get yourself an accountability person. If my videos is a way for you to do it, great, man. Listen, watch these videos. That's the whole point. This is actually me living in that portion, man, talking this stuff out, because we've all gone through it, man. And it's just cool to have somebody where you can kind of just have that whole, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. That's exactly what I'm like. Find that, whether it's me, whether it's God, which are definitely, I say God a lot. Sorry again, spiritual person. I would love you to gravitate more towards God and all my other spiritual people, my Christian folks. You already know, man, God. Speak out loud. Have those prayers. Prayers is a form of meditation, which people don't really understand that. So you don't necessarily have to turn around and do your ums. You getting on your knees is a form of meditation. You talking to God is a form of meditation. Speaking your problems out loud and giving it to God is a form of meditation. These are all releasing that and helping you to stop internalizing those situations. And then acknowledging signs, man. Some people could be going to stress and know they're going through stress and refuse to acknowledge it, because what people always think about when it comes to stress is that if I admit that I am going through stress, I'm a weak person. I have a weak mind. I can't handle situation. I got news for you, man. The strongest people go through stress. From anyone from like the president to CEO to ain't nobody immune to stress. Animals go through stress, man. Like there's no portion of this world that you can escape to or get into, and no aspect of your life where stress won't be a thing. So to sit here and be like, if I have it, I'm a weak person, is a really ridiculous concept. I'm gonna tell you, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. All right, you are enforcing yourself with very toxic masculinity or expectations or whatever, fill in the blank or whatever you want to call that particular that particular mental way of thinking, because ain't gonna do nothing for you, yo. And then, of course, stress management can be helped by, again, removing changing sources of stress. If it is a stress factor, it needs to be removed, man. If it's something as simple as you just need to not be there no more, take yourself out of the equation. If you're brought up, again, go back to that coworker, because that's just something I gravitated to turn around and talk about. I don't know why. It was put in my heart to talk about it. So, that coworker, if you're a job and you've brought this up to HR and everything like that and all that, and it's just, hey, guess what? You need to accept the fact that at some point you need to turn around and find another level of work, or you need to escalate that issue to another aspect that's going to make that issue be removed. All right. And I know some people might be thinking, well, that might cause more problem. No, it won't. No, what? Because you're doing something to initially remove that, or you're doing something to change yourself from that source of stress. Now, of course, there's planning and preparation behind that, but at least you're doing something to remove it. Altering how a person views a stressful situation. Again, knowledge, getting yourself more informed about what it is that you're stressing about. Because oftentimes we can stress about something that we have no clue over. We just don't have an understanding of, which is also a level of a stress, something that could create stress. Get yourself some knowledge, man. Inform yourself. Lowering the effects stress has on the body. So again, if you're in that chronic state and it's starting to affect your overall breathing, your capability to work out, muscle tension, all the stuff like that, it's time to start reacclimating the body, getting yourself more active, to turn around and blank out those measures of stress where you turn around and you're painting or you're doing exercises, you go out for a run and stuff. It's time to turn around and really like eating healthier foods, because stress had you not eating for a good couple of days. It's time to refocus that, man. It's time to turn around and get that BIMS together. It's time to turn around and acclimate that plus, man, and start turning around, taking out factors or adding factors that are going to allow you for more healthy physical attributes. It's going to really feed the body. And then learning alternative ways of coping, man. So again, bereavement. Everyone's first initial thought process is, I gotta press on. Hell no. You just lost somebody. It is okay to be sad. You take your time to turn around and be sad, and then you take your time to understand the aspects of what that person meant to you in your life, and you take that and you use that to drive you. All right? That's an alternative way of coping versus the initial whole, I gotta keep it together. That they wouldn't want to see me crying. First of all, if I died and I didn't see you crying and I was like a ghost and I was just floating over and looking at it, I'd kind of be like, dang, did I even matter? I'm helping you think differently. Like, I'm helping you think differently. That would be my thought process as a floating ghost. Like, damn, they're not even crying for me. But I'm just saying, even though I throw that joke out there, it's just finding other ways to cope versus just doing these stereotypical things that don't work half the time or are unrealistic. And then finally, because we got to get to it, man, the biblical portion. So I actually got two scriptures for you guys. The first one is from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10. All right. For the sake of Christ, then I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. You must accept that in life there will be hardships, times of weakness, and hurt If you give all those moments up to God, you will feel strength and love. And again, like I was talking about prayer, as Christians, listen, as Christians, you already know your life will be encompassed around hardships. If you are not receiving opposition, you are not where you're supposed to be. And that's not a negative aspect to turn around and take. I'm not saying that your life has to be in complete turmoil for you to feel like a Christian. It's not what I'm telling you. But when you are going the right direction, and often you're going to things that are for you, that's where the enemy tries its best to deter you. It's the whole point of the opposition, to turn around and make you rethink the aspects of your life that are going well, because that's what the enemy does want for you. It wants it to not go well. It wants you to turn around, turn away from these things. So that's the reason for that opposition. Again, that knowledge, understanding exactly what it is that you're facing, trial and tribulation. And again, prayer, giving it up to God, man. That's, again, the stressor. Give it up to God. Accept the fact that you can't handle this right now, and say that out loud to God. Say it. Say it. Accept the fact that this is too much for you, because just saying that gives us a different aspect on how to view it. And also turned around and gives it to God, which makes us feel better. It is okay to be overwhelmed sometimes, and admit that. All right? Because that is the first key to turn around and getting through stress. Admitting when stress has entered your life. And then our second one is Luke chapter 12, verse 25 to 26. And which of you, being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? If then you are not able to do as small a thing as that, why are you anxious about the rest? And all that goes on to turn around and say is that, does worrying add happiness or more time to your life? Definitely doesn't. Actually kills off points of your life, which has also been in studies. Most likely not. So spend your days praising the Lord and living your life to the fullest. Leave your anxiety up to God. Again, leaving it up to God. It's repetitive. Leave it to God. Still living your life to the fullest. Not letting aspects of stress turn around and infect other points of your life. There's still a whole entirety of other things that you got going on that you can let one thing turn around and cause and ruin and seep into other aspects of it. So don't do it. Don't do it, man. I promise you, most cases, it's not worth it. All right? It's not worth it. So, again, you want to turn around and play on to the points of staying strong and really just turn around and being open and honest about these situations and stuff like that. And then even as far as God, going back to that knowledge stuff again, still living your life despite the turmoils and stuff like that, man. I mean, there's still aspects, there's still so much that you could be doing, that this one aspect of your life is not worth turning around and revolving yourself around. All right. So these are important things to really understand, man. Having that knowledge, man. Turn around and finding other outlets to add to your plus, finding outlets that you need to remove from your plus, changing goals, ensuring that those things that you hold above all are really holding you down and keeping you grounded in moments of frustrations. Altering your locations, your mindset, and everything like that. Like, again, these things, they seem simple. They seem like, oh, this is something I could have already turned around and done it or anything like that. But for some people, it's not that simple. That's why I do these videos, man. Sometimes you just need to hear it out loud. If you're somebody like myself, again, so I can only speak for me. Somebody like myself, sometimes you need to hear it out loud, man. Like, sometimes it makes sense in your head what you need to do, but until you hear it out loud is when it really clicks. And that's all I want for you, man. So don't go through stress. Don't allow stress to take over your life, because like you see, it layers its whole entire narrative is to turn around and get you to layer all the bad things up and make you completely forget that there's so much other stuff going on. So some people get stressed and their lives are going great. You've heard about those billionaires who turn around and cause suicide to themselves. Imagine you have all this stuff going for you, but because one aspect of your life you didn't like so much and you held in such a high regard, turn around and killed yourself completely over it. You've forsaken everything else that you had that was going great for you initially. That's what stress does. It isolates you. So don't isolate yourself. Find people to turn around and talk to. You know, again, okay, I tell you, man, find the word, find the scripture, do some prayer, man. Put yourself into a Bible. The Lord wants you to turn around and live your life fruitfully, man. Jesus' first miracle was performed at a party. Do you think Jesus was just sitting there going, "Oh, everybody's partying"? No, Jesus was taking in the party. He turned the water to wine, and he didn't turn it into smoothies or he turned it into carrot juice. He turned the water to wine, and that was his first miracle. Let that sink in. Again, knowledge, yo, knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. So inform yourself, and then plan yourself around these things accordingly. All right. So that's a big factor. Take care of yourself. Stay mentally healthy. Protect your BIMs. Always trust the plus. All right. I am Mike Caster J, MCJ for short. We will be back again to hit on another stress factor next week as we go more and delve into anxiety. Ooh, that should be great. So other than that, always trust the plus. Always keep your BIMs healthy. I love you guys. Peace. Questions at the end and challenges.